So I'll basically be showing you how to organize your HTML, right? And it will also help your SEO. Now, people write HTML in different ways, but there are certain rules that you have to follow, best practices you actually have to follow. An example is understanding hierarchy in using your headings, right? You have the H1 before having the H2, before having the H3, before having the H4. This should be small letter, H1, right? Which is another thing you need to know. You need to use small letters, closing tag, before your H2, content before your H3, content, and so on and so forth. Now, think of this basically as your table of content, right? Showing hierarchy of how it all goes. And you can basically just have some content, let's say, organize your HTML. Right, for the H1, and for the H2, we will say best practices. And for okay, we have an extra space. Yep. And for our H3, we're going to talk about few pointers such as indentation. Right, and if you notice, you would see that my H1, H2, and H3 are all starting on the same line, but the content inside them are being shifted towards the right to have a little bit of space, just to make it more readable, right? And whenever you have any other content, say for example, I want to create a div that contains certain items, say I want to add a paragraph tag, right? And then we'll have a paragraph that says, I love to learn the following, and I want to create a list of items that I would actually love to learn, right? Just move on to create an unordered list. Use the UL tag to create that, and I'll move on to create the first item in the list, and I love to learn HTML, which is what we are doing right now. I would also love to learn CSS. And if you notice something, every time I create the opening part of the tag, I always try to close it so that I do not forget to close it at the end of the day. And next, I would also love to learn JavaScript. Right, open that, close that, and let's just use JS for short for JavaScript, right? And as you can see, everything is being indented. Now, UL starts on the same line as the paragraph text, which does not actually start on the same line as the div, right? HTML is more of a tree structure. So you have the div as the parent, HTML and the UL, that's the list, as siblings, but children to the div, and you have the list themselves as children to the UL tag, right? And they are all properly indented, and this is very readable if you ask me, right? Another thing that we'll just talk about is nesting, right? Which is something you would also see here. We do not have a p tag after this div, right? And that needs to be done correctly. So this way you have a properly organized HTML. For more of this content, smash the like button, drop your comments below, follow us on all our social media platforms, and subscribe to this channel at Walere Capital.